Have you ever wondered what would happen if one day the entire earth was covered with water? What if rain kept falling from the sky without stopping? Rivers overflowed their banks, oceans rose higher and higher, and everywhere you looked, there was nothing but water? Today's story takes us back thousands of years. It is not just the story of a boat. It is a story of faith, obedience, patience, and God's mercy. It is the story of a time when the world was about to change forever. This is the story of Noah's Ark. Long ago, the population of the earth had grown greatly. Cities had been built, crops filled the fields, families lived their daily lives. On the surface, everything seemed normal, but people's hearts had changed. They had forgotten God. Their attention was focused only on their own desires and ambitions. Where love and kindness had once been common, selfishness began to grow. People became so busy with their own lives that they no longer cared about God's ways. They continued following their own paths, and little by little, the world moved further into darkness. Yet there was one man who was different. His name was Noah. Noah lived differently from the people around him. He respected God and tried to walk in truth. For Noah, trusting God was the most important thing in life. His family shared that faith. He had sons and a household that stood with him. They were ordinary people, but they trusted God. And then one day, a moment arrived that would change the course of history forever. God gave Noah a special mission. It was a task so great that anyone who heard it would have been amazed. God told Noah that a great flood would come upon the earth. Water would cover the land, but God had already prepared a plan to save Noah and his family. To do this, Noah was instructed to build a massive ark. This would not be an ordinary boat. It would be large enough to protect Noah's family and many kinds of animals. When Noah received this message, he stood before two choices. One path was doubt, the other was faith. Noah chose faith. He immediately began the work that God had given him. There was one major challenge. The people around Noah had never seen anything like the flood God described. To them, it seemed impossible. They could not imagine a day when water would cover the entire earth. But Noah did not allow doubt to stop him. He began building the ark. Days passed, weeks passed, months turned into years. Huge pieces of timber were gathered. They were shaped, fitted together, and slowly the outline of the ark began to appear. Noah continued working faithfully. Sometimes the sun was hot. Sometimes the weather was difficult, or sometimes exhaustion tried to slow him down. But he never stopped. He understood that he was not simply building a boat. He was taking part in God's plan. The people around him watched everything. Many could not understand why he was building such a gigantic structure. Some were surprised, some laughed. Some thought he was wasting his time. But Noah remained focused on his mission. His faith was greater than the opinions of others. Year after year, the ark continued to grow. Its enormous size became impossible to ignore. People had likely never seen anything like it before. Yet Noah remained committed to the work. Every day he continued with the same determination and trust. After many years of hard labor, the ark was nearly complete. But the most remarkable part of the story was still ahead. One day, something extraordinary began to happen. Animals started arriving from distant places. Small animals, large animals, birds of the sky, creatures that walked upon the earth. They all seemed to be responding to an unseen call. They were coming toward Noah's Ark. The sight was astonishing. People watched in amazement. They could not understand how this was happening, but Noah understood. God was carrying out his plan. More and more animals arrived. Every day brought new creatures. Some came from forests, some came from mountains, some came from open plains. It seemed as though all creation was preparing for an important event. Noah and his family carefully guided the animals into the ark. Special places had been prepared for them. Food was gathered and stored. Everything needed for a long journey was put in place. The ark was no longer just a construction project. It had become a place of preservation and hope. As time passed, the atmosphere around them began to change. A sense of seriousness filled the air. Some people started wondering if Noah's warnings might actually be true. Yet most continued with their normal lives. They believed everything would remain the same. They ignored the warning that stood right before them. Meanwhile, Noah's faith continued to grow stronger. He had devoted years of his life to this mission. Now he was approaching the moment that had been spoken of long before. And then the day finally arrived. Noah's family entered the ark. The animals were already inside. The food had been stored. Every preparation had been completed. Noah looked one last time at the world he had always known, the land where he had lived, the places where he had worked, the world that was about to change forever. Noah and his family stepped into the ark. Then something remarkable happened. The door of the ark was shut. Everything was ready. Outside, life still appeared normal. People continued their daily routines. Children played. Farmers worked. Markets remained busy. No one realized that one of the greatest events in history was about to begin. Inside the ark, Noah and his family waited. They had only one source of confidence, their faith in God. The days slowly passed. Outside, the world still seemed calm, but that calmness would not last much longer. Dark clouds began to gather. The wind changed. The atmosphere grew heavy. Nature itself seemed to be holding a great secret. Noah knew the moment was near. His faith had been tested for years. Now he was about to witness the event that God had promised. And then, a day arrived that would change the history of the world forever. The first drop of rain fell from the sky, then another, and another. Soon rain began pouring down. But this was no ordinary storm. It was the beginning of the great flood. Noah and his family remained safe inside the ark. Outside, the world was entering a new chapter, unlike anything it had ever seen before. Noah's ark, when God covered the earth with a great flood. In the previous part, we saw how Noah faithfully obeyed God and spent many years building the ark. The animals had entered the ark. Noah and his family were safely inside. Then the first drops of rain began to fall, marking the beginning of the greatest flood the world had ever known. At first, the rain may have seemed ordinary. People had seen rain before. Storms had come and gone throughout their lives. But this time was different. The rain did not stop. Hour after hour, it continued. Day after day, it fell without interruption. Dark clouds filled the sky, hiding the sun. The air felt heavy, and the world seemed to be changing before everyone's eyes. Inside the ark, Noah and his family listened to the constant sound of rain striking the massive wooden structure. The ark remained strong because it had been built according to God's instructions. As the days passed, the rain grew even heavier. Small puddles became ponds. Ponds became lakes. Rivers overflowed their banks. Water spread across the land in every direction. The earth slowly began to disappear beneath the rising floodwaters. The ark started to lift from the ground. The place where it had once stood firmly was now covered by water. Years of preparation were finally proving their purpose. Inside the ark, Noah and his family worked together every day. They cared for the animals, distributed food, cleaned living areas, and maintained order throughout the enormous vessel. It was not an easy task. There were countless responsibilities, yet God gave them the strength and wisdom they needed. Outside, the water continued to rise. The distinction between day and night often became difficult to notice through the thick clouds and endless rain. Every direction was filled with water. The world that people once knew was disappearing. As time went on, the floodwaters covered more and more of the earth. Fields vanished, roads disappeared, cities could no longer be seen. The landscape was transformed completely. Even distant hills disappeared beneath the flood. Soon only water could be seen stretching toward the horizon. The ark floated steadily above the vast waters. There was no visible destination, no clear path. Yet Noah trusted that God was guiding the ark exactly where it needed to go. This was a time when human strength could accomplish very little. Every day reminded Noah and his family that their safety depended entirely in God's care. Eventually, the rain stopped, but the journey was not over. Water still covered the earth. The ark continued floating across the endless flood. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Life inside the ark settled into a daily routine. Each morning brought new responsibilities. Animals needed food. Supplies had to be managed carefully. Living spaces needed attention. Patience became an essential part of everyday life. Noah and his family did not know exactly when the waters would disappear. They did not know when they would walk on dry land again. But they trusted that the God who had brought them this far would continue leading them forward. There were likely moments when questions filled their minds, moments when uncertainty felt heavy, moments when the future seemed far away. Yet every passing day strengthened their faith. The ark became more than a place of safety. It became a place where trusting God was practiced daily. Living inside the ark was not easy. Outside was an endless ocean of water. Inside was a limited space shared by people and animals. Yet hope remained alive. That hope carried them through every challenge. This part of Noah's story teaches an important lesson. When circumstances are difficult, faith helps people continue moving forward. As more time passed, Noah noticed a change. The movement of the ark seemed different. It no longer drifted endlessly. Gradually, it came to rest. The ark had settled on a stable place. This was an important sign. It meant that land existed somewhere beneath the waters. Still, much of the earth remained covered. The waiting continued. Days passed, then weeks. Eventually, distant mountain peaks began to appear above the water. For the first time in many months, Noah and his family could see signs of dry land. Hope filled their hearts. The flood was slowly coming to an end. Yet it was not time to leave the ark. Patience was still required. To learn more about the conditions outside, Noah released a bird. It flew away and searched for a place to rest. Later, it returned. This showed that suitable land was not yet available. After waiting some time, Noah tried again. The process required patience. Then one day a bird returned carrying a fresh olive leaf. It was a small sign with a powerful message. Plant life had begun to grow again. The earth was recovering. Life was returning. The floodwaters continued to recede. The appearance of that leaf brought great encouragement to everyone inside the ark. A new beginning was drawing closer, yet Noah remained patient. He refused to rush ahead of God's timing. This was one of Noah's greatest strengths. He did not simply trust God, he also waited for God. Many people can believe for a short time. Fewer people can wait faithfully. Noah demonstrated both faith and patience. As more days passed, the earth became increasingly visible. Mountains stood clearly above the water. Valleys slowly emerged. The floodwaters continued to withdraw. Inside the ark, excitement began to grow. The long journey was nearing its end. The animals seemed ready for a new world. Every passing day revealed more evidence that life outside was returning. The moment they had waited for was approaching. Soon the doors of the ark would open. Soon Noah and his family would step onto dry ground once again. Soon they would see what remained of the world after the great flood. What would their earth look like? How would life begin again? And what promise would God give to Noah and future generations? The answers to those questions would soon be revealed. The greatest chapter of restoration and hope was about to begin. Noah's Ark. When God covered the earth with a great flood. After many long months of waiting, the moment Noah and his family had hoped for was finally drawing near. The great flood was coming to an end. The waters continued to recede, and more of the earth became visible each day. Mountain peaks stood clearly above the surface, and signs of new life began to appear across the land. The ark remained resting on solid ground. Inside, Noah and his family knew that the most difficult part of their journey was now behind them. Yet they continued to wait patiently. They had trusted God throughout the entire journey, and they wanted to follow His guidance until the very end. Day after day, the world outside changed. The endless water that had once stretched to the horizon slowly disappeared. Fresh land emerged. Small plants began to grow. Green patches appeared across the earth. Nature itself seemed to be preparing for a brand new beginning. Noah often looked through the opening of the ark and observed the changing landscape. The world before him was different from the one he had known before the flood. It felt new, peaceful, and full of possibility. Then the long-awaited day finally arrived. God instructed Noah that it was time to leave the ark. Joy filled the hearts of Noah and his family. After spending so many months inside the ark, they were finally going to walk on dry ground again. The great door of the ark was opened. Fresh air rushed inside. Warm sunlight filled the space. For the first time in many months, Noah and his family stepped out into the open world. The sight before them was remarkable. The sky was clear. The air was clean. The mountains stood strong in the distance. Everything felt calm and peaceful. It was a moment they would never forget. After months of uncertainty, they were standing safely on land once again. Soon the animals were released from the ark as well. Birds spread their wings and flew into the sky. Animals moved across the land in every direction. Life was beginning again. The earth that had once been covered by water was now ready for a new future. Watching the animals return to the world was a beautiful sight. It was as if all creation was celebrating a fresh start. Noah knew that none of this would have been possible without God's protection and faithfulness. His heart was filled with gratitude. He had witnessed one of the most extraordinary events in human history. The flood had changed the world, but it had also revealed the power of faith and obedience. Now a new chapter was beginning. Noah and his family faced a future filled with responsibility and opportunity. They would help rebuild life on the earth. They would carry forward the lessons they had learned. They would become the foundation for future generations. God blessed Noah and his family. He encouraged them to move forward with hope and confidence. The future was no longer defined by the flood. It was defined by a new beginning. This was not simply the survival of one family. It was the preservation of hope. It was a reminder that God's plans continue even after the darkest storms. Then something beautiful appeared in the sky. Clouds drifted overhead, and across those clouds appeared a magnificent rainbow. Its colors stretched across the heavens. The sight was breathtaking. Noah and his family stood in wonder as they looked at it. This was no ordinary rainbow. It carried a special meaning. It was a sign of God's covenant. The rainbow would serve as a reminder of God's promise and faithfulness. Whenever future generations saw a rainbow in the sky, they would remember that God keeps His promises. It became a symbol of hope, mercy, and trust. Noah's story is far more than the story of a large wooden ark. It is a story about faith. While the world followed its own path, Noah chose to follow God. While others ignored the warnings, Noah listened and obeyed. While others doubted, Noah believed. That is why his story continues to inspire people thousands of years later. His life demonstrates that true faith often requires courage. Sometimes people may not understand the path we choose. Sometimes doing the right thing requires patience. Sometimes the results of our efforts take a long time to appear. Noah experienced all of these challenges, yet he remained faithful. His story also teaches the value of patience. Many people want immediate answers and quick results, but God's timing often unfolds gradually. Noah spent years building the ark. He spent months waiting inside it. He waited patiently for the waters to recede, and he waited for God's instruction before stepping into the new world. His patience became one of his greatest strengths. The story also highlights the importance of family. Throughout every challenge, Noah's family remained together. They faced uncertainty together. They worked together. They trusted God together. And they entered a new future together. Their unity helped them endure one of the greatest challenges in history. As generations passed, the story of Noah continued to be told. Parents shared it with their children. Communities remembered its lessons. People reflected on its message of faith and hope. Even today, Noah's Ark remains one of the most recognized stories in the Bible. Whenever people see a rainbow after a storm, many are reminded of God's faithfulness and the promise represented by that beautiful sign. The story reminds us that storms do not last forever. Difficult seasons eventually come to an end. Hope can survive even in the most challenging circumstances. Faith can guide us when we cannot see the future, and patience can help us reach the blessings waiting ahead. No matter how dark the clouds may seem, there is always the possibility of a new beginning. No matter how difficult the journey becomes, faith can carry us through. And no matter how great the challenge, God's promises remain constant. That is the lasting message of Noah's Ark. Trust faithfully, wait patiently, continue moving forward with hope, and remember that after every storm, a new beginning may be waiting just beyond the horizon. The story of Noah's Ark comes to an end here, but its lessons continue to inspire hearts around the world to this very day. Before you go, if you enjoyed the story and found it inspiring, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your friends and family, and leave a comment below to tell us your thoughts. Your support helps us continue bringing powerful Bible stories, messages of faith, and inspiring Christian content to viewers around the world. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Voice of Jesus and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our future videos. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you abundantly.